A huge part of the enjoyment of From Software games comes from the joy of discovery. But sometimes, you just need a little bit of direction to get where you need to go and do what you need to do. Here are 9 things we wish we knew when starting Elden Ring's new expansion, Shadow of the Erdtree. We're going to try our best to be as spoiler-free as we can, but since we needed to show parts of the map to explain some things, here's a blanket spoiler warning if you don't want to know anything about it going in. You hath been warned. It can be easy to get paralyzed by choice when starting Shadow of the Erdtree, but if you need a little direction, just head straight north to the 3-path cross side of Grace. You'll see one of Miquella's crosses standing up out of the ground, and after speaking with the Horn-Scent Man, you'll be given a map with more locations of crosses. These crosses are your guideposts for Shadow of the Erdtree, leading you along the story path. Grabbing this cross map can be a great way to get some more direction early on in your adventure. He'll also give you a second map after exiting Castle Insis and meeting him at the High Road Cross side of Grace. If you go to the main gate cross side of Grace, just northwest from where you enter the Realm of Shadow, you can buy a note that gives you important information about traversal. You can purchase this note from the man sitting down with a pot, named Moore, but if you don't want to spend the runes, it just lets you know that new Spiritsprings, the vertical air pillars that Taurens can use to ascend quickly, are blocked throughout the Realm of Shadow. You can unblock these by knocking down the piles of stones nearby. Given the amount of verticality in Elden Ring, these are a godsend for getting around efficiently, so be on the lookout. Although keep in mind you sometimes need to walk to where it will take you first, as the stones may be there waiting for you at the end. The new Shadow Realm blessing system in this expansion is a vital method of getting stronger. Since Elden Ring has soft caps on a lot of its stats, meaning you get diminishing returns after a while, leveling with runes won't get you very far, especially since every level starts to get very expensive. Scaduview fragments and revered spirit ashes are needed for these Shadow Realm blessings, and while a lot of locations can be obvious, like at Miquella's crosses, the shadow figures with pots will often have them as well. If you see one of these guys with a sparkling pot above his head, make sure you take him out to receive these materials or other valuable resources. The more Shadow Realm blessing levels you gain, the more fragments it takes to keep leveling, so be vigilant in grabbing everyone that you can. You can see exactly what the Shadow Realm blessings are improving by observing the yellow stats while in the Realm of Shadow. It's easy to get stuck using the same weapon if you find it comfortable and effective. I'm also guilty of this, and they can pry my Blasphemous Blade plus 10 from my fiery dead hands. But Shadow of the Erdtree throws lots of new cool weapon types and Ashes of War your way, and enemies drop tons of bolstering materials like smithing stones and somber smithing stones in addition to the ones you'll find throughout the area. We even found a few ancient dragon smithing stones in our first few hours of playing, so don't be afraid to build up new weapons you find. You might discover a new favorite. This expansion has extra larval tiers scattered around the world as well, so not even your current build should hold you back from experimenting. Just because of the way I happened to explore the Realm of Shadow, I didn't find any throwing weapons until well into my adventure, and when I did, I mostly ignored them since I was on a faith build. But after finagling the Smith script circ with an Ash of War to scale better with my character, they quickly became some of my favorites. You can find them in the Ruined Forge of Starfall Past, right here, just southeast of Castle Insis, along with the Smithing Talisman, which makes your throwing attack stronger. Technically, these are classified as a backhand blade, which means using them two-handed, put one in each hand, and they still use melee attacks. But the heavy attack still counts as a throw, and can do major damage at range. This became my favorite way to play for a while and felt totally different than what I was doing previously, so this goes hand in hand with the last tip. Even if it's not something you usually try, step out of your comfort zone. You might find a great new way to fight through the world. We also have a video that goes over every new weapon type if you're curious. I'm going to be intentionally vague here as to not spoil anything, but like the base game, Shadow of the Erdtree contains some changes to the world state of the Realm of Shadow as you progress through the story, which will alter areas and NPC interactions. If you're about to do something that seems important and the game asks for a confirmation, that probably means it will change something. Make sure you're ready before proceeding. Summoning allies through stones on the ground before a boss fight gives enemies more health. And yes, this is a mechanic included in the main game, but we wanted to double down on it here, as it makes a huge difference in some fights. Rolana especially, since you can summon two allies at once. Even with maxed out weapons, even weapons that can kinda cheese a lot of bosses, she becomes super tanky when the summons are used, to the point where it can actually make this fight a lot more difficult, depending on your build. You can grab some incredibly strong armor right from the get-go by heading northwest from where you enter the DLC, to the western Nameless Mausoleum. Inside is a Black Jail Knight with a full Armor of Solitude set and a Great Sword of Solitude. The Greatsword's pretty good, but the armor is some of the best you'll find throughout the whole expansion if your endurance is high enough to wear it, or if you're wearing one of the several talismans that increase your equip load limit. Lastly, and we've put this here at the end in case you'd rather discover it on your own, there are large portions of the map that are hard to access unless you know exactly where to go. For those who don't want to drive themselves crazy filling out their map, we'll cover 4 sections that gave us trouble. Our first area is Scaduview, north of Shadow Keep. Although this area is right next to the keep, you can't get there through traditional methods while clearing the dungeon, as you have to exit out of a secret area you can only get to through the currently flooded church district. And the path to this church district begins all the way down here in Morth Ruins. Jump into this hole, and follow the lights all the way down to enter a cave path. Continue east along this path until you reach the ladder leading up to Bonnie Village. Once coming out of the well in Bonnie Village, grab the Site of Grace and head northeast. Cross over the ditch running through the town, and then ride north. Just a little ways across the field, you'll find an abandoned statue in a certain pose, and interacting with it will give you the Oh Mother emote, which will be very important later. Head south back to Bonnie Village, and follow this path east across the bridges until you turn north. Follow the road until you hit the Church District High Road Site of Grace. Continue heading northwest until you enter a tunnel that leads straight into the Church District. When you arrive here, it'll be flooded. You'll need to jump your way across the rooftops, fighting or avoiding a bunch of crabs, and one of these dudes I hate so much. Until you jump over to this stone path, head up to the roof, drop down onto this beam, drop down onto this path, and then take a right before taking the first left. Follow the path around, climb the ladder, and open the sluice gate to drain the water. Now that the area is no longer flooded, fast travel back to the first Site of Grace you encountered when entering this area. Your goal is an elevator here, so drop down and head to the left until you can enter this building. And then run to the elevator on the right side. Once reaching the top, take out Messmer's Fire Dude before taking the first right to another elevator. This will take you all the way to a secret area within the Specimen Storehouse in Shadow Keep. Take a left and activate the back section Site of Grace, and continue onto the ladder. Stealth kill the Fire Dude at the top, take a right to go up the stairs, and hug the right wall until you find a hole on the outside. Jump out the hole, take a right, and continue the path to re-enter the building. Activate the loft Site of Grace, and then take the nearby elevator to the rafters. Keep in mind you'll have bats up here who throw sound waves at you, so try and take them out from range, or keep a shield up so you don't get pushed back and off the path. Follow along the rafters until you reach a ladder. Go up, take a right, continue forward until you come face to face with a bat, and jump down to the lower path to your right. Keep going forward until you see a ladder on your left. Take the ladder down, turn to the right, and head out another hole in the building to see an elevator on your right. It will take you down to a bigger elevator that goes all the way down to the back gate of Shadow Keep. You've got a pretty gnarly boss fight now keeping you from continuing, but once you defeat him, you'll have opened up the path to Scaduview to the northwest. Make sure you pick up the Scadutree fragments by the chalice, but there's one more step. Just to the right of the back gate Site of Grace, there's a small chapel and a note that reads "Have Mercy." Use the Oh Mother emote here in front of the statue, and you'll open up a new path to the hinterlands of Scaduview. Next is to enter the region to the south, the Cerulean Coast. From the Pillar Path Cross Site of Grace just southeast of Castle Insis, head north hugging the cliff edge on your right until you see rocks you can use to descend. Carefully make your way to the bottom, avoiding or fighting the bats and giant crab on your way, and once you reach the bottom, head south to the cave opening next to the giant flower. Keep going straight, and you'll reach the Elec River Cave Site of Grace on your right. Keep heading south, and once you come out into the river proper, take a left and make your way down to the waterfalls, leaping from rock to rock. You'll keep at this for a few minutes, going by stone birds on the way, until eventually you come to another side of grace and a final waterfall. Keep hugging the right wall after descending, and eventually through the forest to the south you'll see an opening with blue flowers, which opens up into the Cerulean Coast. The path to the Abyssal Woods begins in Shadow Keep. Defeat the golden hippopotamus at the keep's main gate, and make your way left out of the boss arena and continue forward until you reach a drawbridge guarded by a fire knight. Instead of crossing the drawbridge to fight him, look to the right instead to find a ladder on the side of the path, leading to a hidden area down along the keep's inner moat. Take the first left behind the waterfall to find a small darkened room with the painting The Domain of Dragons. Strike the wall to the right of the painting to reveal an illusory wall, leading to a stone coffin you can climb inside. The coffin will take you to a large flooded area below the Shadow Keep itself, full of ruined furnace golems. Rest at the Castle Watering Hole site of Grace before traveling onward. You'll need to travel south from the flooded ruins of Auntie, that's the best you're gonna get, and you're gonna reach a series of waterfalls. Stick to the left side of the falls and rest at the Recluse's River upstream side of Grace to stop the golem from chasing you, before continuing south. Note that the cliffside is full of holes, so move cautiously with Torrent to double jump over gaps. Eventually, you'll be able to leap across to the right side of the cliffs above the river as you keep heading downwards and avoiding flymen. Keep sticking to the cliffs until you reach a dead end, and look below to find the Recluse's River downstream side of Grace. Hop down to rest at it, then look over at the cliffside here to find a series of large gravestones embedded in the cliff to carefully hop down to the river below. Once you reach the river, head south until you hit the edge of the waterfall, and cross over to the other side of the river. Just ahead, you can spot another series of gravestones embedded in the wall leading down from the side of the falls to another lower area. Once you reach the ground, stick to the cliff walls and move along east while fending off Vulgar militia to find the entrance to a mini-dungeon, the Darklight Catacombs. You'll need to traverse the entirety of this catacomb as it goes deeper and deeper underground, eventually leading outside to a boss fight. Defeat Jory the Inquisitor, and you'll be granted access into the Abyssal Woods. Alright, on to the last one. To reach the Jagged Peak, cross the Alec Great Bridge in the Gravesite Plain to reach the castle front side of Grace in front of Castle Insis, and start heading south. When the path seems to split, follow the main road to the left as it slopes upward past a Messmer soldier camp. Keep heading up the path past the glowing worm dudes until you reach a side of Grace right after the path splits again, and continue along the path to the right where a man lies screaming. Head past the man along a series of small dragon statues until you're invaded by an ancient dragon man, and defeat him in combat. At the end of this road as it curves to the left, you'll find the entrance to a mini-dungeon, the Dragon Pit, that holds an important secret. Continue through the dungeon until you reach a large open room with a giant chalice across the pit, and a message that tells you to have courage. You'll need to put this courage to the test by leaping into the pit, which will send you far down into the bottom of the Dragon Pit. Here you'll have to defeat the boss of the dungeon, another ancient dragon man, wielding a special great katana that you can earn by defeating him. Once he's been defeated, you can leave the dungeon and you'll find the Jagged Peak looming over you. Note that if you take a right at the first major fork in the road where an ancient dragon can be found, you'll come upon the large body of a slain dragon that is now being used as a dragon communion site, and a friendly dragon priest will allow you to use it, and send you on a quest to defeat the dragon at the top of the Jagged Peak, Bale. And those are the things we wish we knew the first time we played Shadow of the Erdtree. We hope this helped you enjoy your time in the realm of Shadow, and while you're here, make sure to check out our video on the things to do first. For everything else gaming, keep it right here on IGN.